without going any further into me blabbing, Senator McGuire, would you like to come up and speak to us about
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. What the heck's going on? There we go. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and I could not be more excited. And talk about a damn good club, my goodness. We have to do that. I've been in Rotary in Hillsburg for going on 12 years now, and that was like a flash mob. So that was good stuff. What I'd like to be able to do today, if it's okay, and I know that we want to leave plenty of time for conversation as well, is just talk about some of the hot issues that are happening here in California, and then just have a conversation with you about where you think that we should be focused in your priorities. And I want to start out by saying thank you for allowing me this amazing opportunity to be able to work with you each and every day, and on behalf of Humboldt County in the State Senate. It is the best job that anybody could ever ask for. And I believe that we're making significant progress in some of our toughest challenges, but I know that we could always do better. And of course, California being as big as we are, we also have our own challenges that we need to continue to focus in on. When we start out with the economy, talk about issues surrounding education. Would like to talk a little bit about road infrastructure, healthcare, etc. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, let's get this party started. So, long story short, we live in one of the largest Senate districts in the entire state of California. Each Senate district has about 1 million folks, so we stretch from the Golden Gate Bridge all the way out the Oregon border, and then we also take in Trinity County as well as in Lake County, so 7 counties all throughout. We're known for many great things, as you all know. We have more craft breweries in our district than anywhere else in the West Coast, everybody. We have more wineries than anywhere else in the United States of America right here in our district. And ladies and gentlemen, we grow 60% of the marijuana in America. Hey, hi there, watch out. Hey, you know, it's a very happy district. All of a sudden got very awkward for the judge. So, look, bottom line is this. While California does have challenges, we are #1 in job growth in the United States of America 3 straight years in a row. We are seeing record unemployment, whether you're in rural California or downtown Los Angeles. Record unemployment throughout the state, which is fantastic. We're now the 5th largest economy in the world. While we're just 12% of the United States population, we create 17% of the jobs. 25% of America's gross domestic product is coming from the Golden State. And absolutely, while we are focused, obviously, on a strong economy, we're also focusing on our environment. We have the strongest clean air and clean water rules in the United States of America. And we've cut our greenhouse gas emissions from peak 2004 by 13%, leading the nation in reducing our carbon footprint. So while we are growing jobs, we're also cutting our carbon footprint, and we're also saving. So right now, times are really good. We had a $4 billion swing in the month of April, meaning that we were about $1 billion less than where we thought we'd be with our budget as far as our surplus. That changed as people started paying their taxes. We took in $3 billion, closed the gap, and now we're $1 billion ahead. We're going to finish the fiscal year about $5 billion in surplus here in the state of California. So what the heck are we doing about it? And what are we doing with it, most importantly, right? #1, we're saving for the bad times. And I got to tell you, the state has not always done the greatest job of putting money away when times were good, like we all do, right? So we are at $14.5 billion in our rainy day fund. We'll hit $20 billion in the next 3 years. We have the highest rainy day fund out of any state in the United States of America, which is critical. We also are leading when it comes to the issue of investing back in our economy. So we are also now starting to invest in small businesses, 25 employees or less, providing tax credits for those who are starting to hire as well. Again, we give so much to large corporations, we got to start focusing on the heart of our economy, and those are small businesses, 25 employees or less. Just a quick statistic, we're going to move on from the economy. If the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, the 9 counties were its own world economy, it'd be 19th largest in the world. So again, things are going well, but it's not going to last. So we got to be able to save, in a rainy fund. We got to pay down debt. We spent about $10 billion paying down pension debt over the last 24 months. We're paying down bond debt as well, which is critical. So save, pay off debt, and we got to invest what makes this state strong. And we got to invest in strong public schools. And we're going to have record funding in our public education system this year. It's never been higher. And we have to make college more affordable and accessible, and we have to focus on career training in our high schools. So what the heck are we doing with that? So we made a promise 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the state of California said that if you were going to be a high school student, going to community college, you'd be able to have your first 2 years of community college paid for by the state of California. We're going to follow through with that promise this year. This year, we're going to invest the final $40 million, where if you are a full-time community college student, and you're going to the College of the Redwoods, and you're making grades, the state of California will pick up your first 2 years of community college for free. Being honest, a lot of folks say we got to make CSU, UC free. I totally agree, and I'm just being honest, we simply can't afford that at this time. 60% of CSU grads, 60% of UC grads are coming through our community college system. I went through a community college system. It took me 3 damn years to get out because I couldn't pass statistics. And but it finally happened, and my mom was so happy. But what I'll say is this. Look, we have to make college more affordable and accessible. And we also come to grips that 72% of public high school graduates, 72% in this state, will not go on to a 4-year college degree. And we have to make sure that we have robust career training programs in our high schools. So we've secured $300 million in permanent funding for career training and job skill classes in every high school across the state. And we're also investing in ag science. That was really important. And I was in FFA growing up. So we've also saved every FFA program in the state with this money, and we're expanding ag science courses across the state, being the #1 agricultural state in the union, which is also critical. And what you're also going to see is an investment in housing. We have an affordable housing crisis in California. We are short 1.5 million affordable units between 2015 and 2025. So the state is going to invest $12 billion over the next 5 years in workforce affordable housing in 3 categories. Very low income, which is the hardest to house. Low income, as well as moderate income affordable homes. So you're going to see more of that. I'm going to just keep going and just do a little quick lightning round. Can we talk about healthcare for a moment?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little bit of awkwardness between the state and Washington, D.C. And we're not going to get political here today, but it's vice versa as well. Okay, so it's all good. But I just want to talk about statistics and not talk about politics. The Affordable Care Act. So the Affordable Care Act is not a perfect system. Do we need to improve it? You're damn right we do. And here's the problem. We have folks who want to be able to completely gut it and get rid of it. The state of California utilizes the Affordable Care Act through Covered California more than any other state in this nation. Rural California are the highest utilizers of the Affordable Care Act. Humboldt, Delmore, Trinity, Lake, Mendocino. We are some of the highest utilizers of the Covered California system. So what will happen is this. Millions of Californians will be without health care insurance. Since the Affordable Care Act passed in 2013, our state was at 17% uninsured. Highest it's ever been. Fast forward to last year, we are now at 7%. 7% uninsured. The lowest it's ever been in our state's history. So where I feel frustrated is that we are taking a look at significant generational change by providing health insurance to Californians and to some of the most vulnerable populations in our state. We're talking about ripping up the rug, and it's simply not acceptable. So we are already going to put in about $1 billion to backfill some of the cuts from the feds this year, and we are now in the midst of a lawsuit to be able to keep the Affordable Care Act intact. More to come on that, but that is a significant liability for this state. The other significant liability that we're having right now, fire. Wildfire. And as many of you have seen, especially in Northern California, it's impacted us tremendously. And what I will say, and I will get a little emotional and I apologize, But you never know what you're going to face when you start a new job. And it was 2015, and I volunteered my time to be able to do auctions for nonprofits. And I was down in Marin County doing an auction for a foster youth agency, and my phone was just going off, and I couldn't answer it. And it was the sheriff from Lake County. And I finally was able to call back, and he had a few choice words saying you need to hightail it up to Lake County because Middletown was on fire. Got up there a little after midnight, met him in Lakeport, we then drove over. And I will tell you, I've never seen anything like it. And I will be honest, I never thought I'd see anything like it again. The entire community was on fire. You drive into the firehouse, and every home around that firehouse was on fire. That fire moved with such speed and violence coming down that hill. Within 24 hours, 1,282 homes were destroyed. I'm going to fast forward, that was in 2015 to 2016. We had the Clayton fire, another 300 homes destroyed, and we had multiple wildfires in Lake County. Since 2015, I might add, Lake County has lost 69% of their total land to wildfire, 69%. Fast forward to 2017. I was standing on the Hopper Avenue overpass the night after North Bay firestorm, where Kmart used to be in Santa Rosa. And I was watching the Hilton burn down. Almost 6,000 homes destroyed. 6,000 between Sonoma, Napa, Lake, and Mendocino from that fire. Fast forward to 2018, almost 19,000 homes destroyed in Paradise. The worst fires that we've seen, 14 of the top 20 largest, and 12 of the 20 most destructive have happened in the last decade. The U.S. wildfire season has gone from the 1970s, 138 days, to today, 222 days. Over the last 10 years, we've had about 120 million trees either die or dying here in California. And I'm going to give you some quick statistics, and I'm going to move on. I want to tell you what we're going to do about it. But we hear from some in the federal government that California doesn't have its act together when it comes to forest management. And I'd like to give you some quick statistics on forest land. 58% of forest land in California, 58% owned or managed by the federal government. 3% owned or managed by the state or local government. So the U.S. Forest Service has seen their budget cut by $2 billion since 2016. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat problem. This is both parties that are cutting firefighting resources from the federal government. It started during the Obama era. And it's continuing. It's escalating. So the state, though, we're going to invest about $1 billion over the next 5 years in removing dead and dying trees and vegetation management, removing high-risk vegetation around communities. Over the last 17 months, we've invested $100 million. Half of that has gone on to federal forest land. Half of it. So when we hear these partisan arguments, just know, stop with the politics, y'all, and let's just focus on how to keep people safe, right? And that's what people want. And fire is not going to discriminate if you are a Republican or a Democrat, and nor should our federal or state governments. And that's where we need to be able to focus. So we're now making CalFire a year-round firefighting agency. First time in our history, $40 million. We're making McClellan Air Attack Base, our largest air attack base in the state, where you have those really large planes that are doing the bombs. That's now year-round. We're going to get 7 C-130 cargo planes. We're going to make them the air attack, Bor-8 bombers. They're going to come in and drop the flame retardant. We're getting rid of all of our Vietnam-era helicopters. That is the backbone of our helicopter firefighting fleet. We're now purchasing a dozen Black Hawk helicopters. 2 are now in state that will be put to work. And we're going to be able to fight fire at night because they're going to have night vision. We are now changing the way we fight fires. Rather than having the cavalry come in prior to the fire starting, we're now going to start compensating fire departments, and this happened last year, compensating fire departments to be able to stage during hot weather and high wind events called red flag events, so that we have boots on the ground, so when we have an incident breakout, they're there already to be able to combat that fire. I could go on, there's a lot more, but I want to just finish here, talk about Humboldt, if that's okay. I have been really frustrated in the past where I feel like we have not received the attention that we deserve, and one-size-fits-all approaches simply don't work for our region. And it's been really important to me to be able to be active and engaged, and I'd like to talk to you about some of the items that we'll focus on here in Humboldt and the North Coast. Number one, we've got to become a more active and engaged partner on rebuilding our infrastructure in rural California. We're going to see record funding, whether it's for Arcata, Eureka, or Humboldt County in road improvement dollars. Millions more are coming in this year alone, tens of millions over the next decade. Number two, we're finally going to fix the last chance grade that connects Del Norte with Humboldt County. $50 million has been secured to be able to complete the environmental and engineering studies, to move it off the coast, go inland, so we don't keep having the slides that close and isolate Del Norte County. Nursing. We are going to bring back the Bachelor's of Science nursing degree at Humboldt State University next year. We're in the midst of raising $5 million, and what we'll be announcing here in the coming months, we have additional donors above and beyond the $2 million that St. Joe's has now kicked in. So we are dedicated to be able to get the fundraising done. We have to raise the $5 million here this year. We're dedicated to be able to getting that done and starting the nursing program. We need 75 nurses every year between Humboldt, Del Norte, Trinity, and northern Mendocino counties, every year. And right now, if you want to get your bachelor's in nursing, you have to hightail it down to Sonoma State, which is almost a 4-hour drive. Completely unacceptable. And we are now also starting a feeder system into Humboldt State. At the same time that we're going to be launching the HSU BSN program, Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, we're going to start classes up in Crescent City, going from LVN, licensed vocational nurse, to RN, and those registered nurses will then be able to feed into HSU. Get moving and charged up. Look, again, $12 billion for affordable housing. We have another $3.5 million that's coming into Humboldt County to be able to combat one of our biggest challenges, and that's homelessness. $2.5 million in loans coming in from the state in one-time emergency funds for cities in the county if they want to be able to invest in a homeless shelter, showers, programs, drug and alcohol addiction, counseling, etc. That's here in the county now. And then if we can just finally end up talking about opioid addiction. Look, Humboldt County has some of the highest numbers in the state when it comes to opioid addiction. And it is an incredibly controversial issue. I will share with you in 30 seconds my personal story. My brother-in-law, addicted to, get emotional thinking about it, methamphetamine for a decade. And it rocked our family. It was awful. And he has turned himself around, in and out of health centers and programs, day programs and live-in programs, and just, it took a lot of time. And addiction is a health issue. We may differ on that opinion, but it's a health issue. And I am sick and tired of rural California not having the services that we need to be able to help the people that make our community strong. So we're about to open up an addiction health center in Eureka. It's going to have a hub and spoke model. It's with Aegis. It's going to be down on the waterfront. They just purchased the building, and we'll be able to see about an additional 500 patients each week. And we're going to have patients coming in from throughout Humboldt, Trinity, and Del Norte counties. And we're going to ensure that Waterfront, who is a live-in facility, becomes Medi-Cal certified so that we can take in individuals without insurance as well. So that's really important for myself, and you're going to see significant progress in 2020. I invite you, if you can, to be able to join us today on our offshore wind hearing. Mr. President, I'm going way dang long. He's about to throw a chair at me. Big proposal on the Humboldt coast, as you all know, and we're going to be talking about how we can balance the need for offshore wind, renewable resource, which is critical, and making sure that fisheries are protected. And then I'll just end it here with the Great Redwood Trail. So finally, we have a 300-mile rail line that y'all know about that goes from Humboldt Bay all the way down to San Francisco Bay. And right now, there is an agency that's running it that's functionally bankrupt. They're $12 million in debt. And it is a challenging situation, to say the least. And there's been a lot of discussion that we need to be able to get freight into Humboldt County. I would say that would be ideal. We need it, and it's not going to happen. Just being honest about it. And it's not going to be happen because over the last 20 years, folks have tried to be able to privately finance it, and it's just not a viable business venture. So where we're focused on is transitioning the 300-mile trail, rail to trail. What we know is California has a $92 billion outdoor recreational economy. $92 billion. It's one of the highest growing economic sectors. Those who are out hiking and equestrian and biking are typically higher wealth individuals. And what we've seen is trails have transformed communities up and down this state when they've transitioned them from rails. And that is what our town hall tomorrow in Humboldt State is going to be all about. Providing detail about the Great Redwood Trail, the economic benefits, and how we're going to be able to bring focus to the vision of this trail. I know it can be controversial, but it is something that we're moving forward with. And we're also happy to announce $32 million in different trail segments have been secured over the last 6 weeks here in Humboldt and in Mendocino County. And we're going to see additional millions secured later this year. And I'll finally say we're not going to have offshore oil drilling off the California coast, as the Bureau of Land Management is now pulling back on their plan, which was ludicrous already. So, questions coming? Sorry, I'm so long. Yes, sir.
You know, as a forester that worked in southern Humboldt County off and on over the years, you know, making the trail is one thing, maintaining it's going to be, it just seems like, to me at the outset, I mean, there's really steep slopes, old growth trees, massive landslides. You know, maintaining the rail was like a full-time job for a huge crew. I mean, how do you pay to maintain a remote trail? This isn't hand clippers and shovels. This is, I mean, it's just going to be a periodic expense that, it just seems like, you know, dollars per use hour, mile, whatever. It seems like, I don't know how they're going to make that work. It seems like a huge funding.
It's a great question. Look, to be able to build rail at please push back if you think I'm wrong. It's going to be about $1 million a mile. And especially through the Eel River Canyon, it'll be even more, right? And candidly, I don't think we're ever going to be able to get the environmental certification to be able to get through the Eel River Canyon. When we take a look at trail, if you're going between Willits and Fortuna, it's going to be probably between 10 and 20,000 a mile to be able to develop. So here's how we're going to do it. Number one, we know that we're going to be able to get one-time dollars to be able to build this thing. Then we need to be able to develop a budget for operations and maintenance. So here's what the next steps are. My belief is, don't do this fast, do it right. I do not want to get into a situation like we have right now with the NCRA where we're broke. So here's how we're focusing. This year, you're going to see 3 objectives. Number one, we got to wind down the NCRA. We're going to complete the audit by June 2020. $500,000 is secured to be able to do that. Number 2, we have to do a boundary survey. We believe there are 1,900 property owners between Humboldt Bay and San Francisco Bay, but we have to complete the boundary survey. Number 3, we have to do a trail assessment. So we have $1.5 million that's been secured to be able to launch a trail assessment. Where is the trail going to go, and what type of surface throughout the route? 4, next year we're going to launch the master plan. The master plan is going to be the roadmap for this system. How much is going to cost to construct? What's the ongoing operation and maintenance? And developing a funding plan to be able to fund ongoing dollars. So I would be up here BSing you right now if I were to tell you, here's the final price tag to construct, and here's how we're going to do it. We need a plan, and what I will promise you this, you're going to see a detailed plan about how we're going to be able to, 1, construct and maintain within the next 36 to 48 months.
Yeah. Do you know what the widest access points are in that trail? Like, what's the widest trail between where you can get at it? Do you have any idea? Because there's some really remote sections.
Super remote
Island
sections.
Mountains, 6-mile tunnels you got to go around.
No, you're absolutely right. And so that's what this trail assessment is going to do. I mean, we're literally going to be flying that trail, hiking that trail, starting here this summer to be able to do exactly what you're talking about. And if you'd allow me to come back next year, I'd love to be able to answer your question and bring a presentation if you'd be willing. I'd love to be able to come back with more information on that. Please, sir.
What's the status of the universal health care movement in California?
So the universal health care movement, I'll be honest about it, and I'll tell you my point. view. I think that we need to be able to go to a single-payer system. We have lower GDP countries that are able to do it, and California can afford it, but we have to be able to develop a plan. And what is the reason why universal single-payer systems have failed in the past is because the state has not developed the financial plan and the data plan to be able to complete it. So here's where we're at. If a single-payer bill were to be advanced this year, it would fail in the legislature. That's my belief. So the governor has proposed a plan to create a 14-member Healthy California Commission. That commission would be focused on developing a financial plan and data plan to be able to implement. I believe that it would take 3, maybe 5 years to be able to develop the plan to be able to implement in California. When I say the plan, there's a few challenges that we have to focus on. Number one, we have to get waivers from the federal government for Medicaid and Medicare. Federal government is not in the business of providing any favors to the state of California at this point. That is going to be the bulk of the dough that would pay for a single-payer system, number one. Number two, we have to be able to talk about some logistical issues. Will the state of California care for veterans? Right now, veterans are through the VA system. We have to figure that out. We have to figure out how we're going to get Medicare information into an antiquated system for our healthcare records. We need to be able to get a new healthcare record system up. I say all this, that's what this commission is going to be doing, is going through, there's about 15 different subject areas, super complicated, that they're going to be working on, and that's what I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see this year. So it's not moving as of now, but creating the commission that would be able to bring forward the business plan as well as the plan for patients. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much. Please, Rick.
So you made an excellent point, and healthcare discussions really focus on people, which is important. Another point that is important for us in economic development in rural areas is that it stabilizes the hospital system as well. And I was on the St. Joseph's Foundation board for many years, and we went from when I started there with a hospital that was in a huge deficit, borrowing money from other hospitals in the system and cutting, to post-Affordable Care Act, because the way our patient mix is horrible here, I mean, in terms of payers, to now a hospital that can do things like invest $2 million into the nursing program. And
which we're grateful for.
you know, Trinity Hospital, St. Joseph's System, you know, Southern Humboldt, it's made an incredible difference on stabilizing the health provider side of the house. And so that sometimes gets lost when we talk about universal care and all that, but you know, without it, we may not have these hospitals, and so the whole question becomes moot at that point.
You bring a beautiful point up, and there is an absolute business case to be made, whether it's hospitals or health centers. Let's be honest, we've expanded the number of individuals who have insurance, which means we've expanded the number of individuals who are payers, who are able to assist those institutions, and I got to tell you, rural California is in real trouble if the ACA goes away. Just want to say thank you. I am feeling the hook. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be able to work with you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
We made a donation in your name to the Wheelchair Foundation, and you can choose which one you want. We either may give just you or Senator.
Oh, no, this is great.
See, perfect.
Thank you. This means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Have a
for
wonderful
being a
weekend. Thank you very
Rotarian.
much.